Welcome back to another episode of the Get Sculpted podcast. We are here together today. Hello, girls.
Hello, hello.
And we've got quite an episode for you today because I'm very certain that I've heard this from probably almost every single person I talk to in my DMs. If you've ever said, I will start when things calm down, once I have more time and energy or motivation, this episode is literally made for you. Because here's the reality check. That time never actually comes, right? It's just going to keep getting busier.
That's right.
It's just going to keep getting harder. You're just going to keep getting older. So why not start now when the thought pops into your head? So, the whole idea of waiting for the perfect time, it actually keeps women stuck and in the same place year after year. And we've seen this play out, not just in the fitness industry, but in business and relationships, in waiting for like the magical stars to align. It kind of means that you're never really going to take that first step. And I think something we've all learned is that like taking messy action is action, and it's what's going to start to propel you forward.
That's right.
Do you girls agree?
100%.
Yes, 100%. I think we've all kind of been perfectionists in the past.
Oh yeah.
Recovering perfectionists. It's a reminder that we often need.
Yeah, agreed. And so today we are breaking down why readiness is actually a myth, how to reframe the not ready mindset into taking action, messy action, any action, and what actually happens when you start before you think you can. And just so this is like, one of the most common things that women come to us saying, I know I need to start, I just don't feel ready yet. And if that's resonating already for you today, I want you to come back to this and hear me when I say this. Like, you're not behind, you are human, you're right where you need to be. And if you ever want help figuring that out, what a first doable step could look like for you, you can always reach out to us on Instagram. We're there for you, and we can start to craft out your customized approach to getting started in the busiest season of your life now. So this is one of those conversations that I think will make you check your own excuses, and it'll act like a mirror really to your own behaviors and beliefs in the best possible way. So, get yourself walking. This is what from our last episode. You should be walking during this episode, or, listening to as you're listening, or moving in some sort of way. Maybe stand up right now, get a little stretch in. And we want to dive in. And let's start with like the big lie we've all believed, that someday we'll feel ready. Girls, ready to go?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
This is an important one.
All right. So, the whole idea is that you don't feel ready ever for anything. Anytime you do anything, you become ready through taking action. It's taking that very first step. And readiness is not really a feeling, it's a byproduct of building momentum. And so if we want to think about like a couple of examples, what this could look like, for example, for like fitness, it could be waiting for the perfect schedule. It could be thinking about how you need more energy. It could be a season in time, like, oh, it's a holiday season, it's too busy right now, or my birthday is next month, I don't want to do it until after my birthday. All of that is just an excuse and leaning you into either a perfectionist mindset or really a procrastination mindset, because that's what perfectionism really is. It's a way to delay starting for whatever reason you have in your mind. So the reframe that we want you to take in all of this is that readiness isn't comfortable. It's taking action. It is stepping into what is uncomfortable so that you can grow into the person that you really want to be, and identify who your 2.0 self is. And she's someone who is courageous. She is someone who is brave, and she is someone who takes action regardless of the circumstances around her. And taking action is actually the cure for yourself to overthinking things.
That's right.
Girls, would you like to add anything to that so far? Any personal examples you want to share?
I like that you said, like, is that the type of person you want to be? Because I tell myself that all the time in my head. And you know what? I always have like a mini rant, is like when people say, but it's hard. And I'm like, and?
Of course it's hard. It's supposed to be.
Exactly. And it's hard, but you could still do it. Like,
That's right.
do we just want to avoid hard forever?
That's
like,
right.
It's like life is passing by no matter what. So you might as well just do it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, we've all heard of those stories of people thought they had a lot of time. You never know how much time you have.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's a saying, I actually have it. It's a quote in my room upstairs. It says, nothing worth having comes easy. Like if all of our listeners, if you think back to any of the times in your life where maybe you had, the biggest epiphany or the biggest, the most amazing change in your life, like odds are it didn't happen from like a really easy thing that you did. It was challenging. It was uncomfortable, but you did it. And like, look what it led to. So I always come back to that. Nothing worth having comes easy, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, this month, 13 years ago, I actually took my first workout as a part of being coached. And I remember that was like the worst day ever. Like Scarlett was like 10 months old.
I remember
she
you
was
telling
so
this story.
itty bitty. It was like the middle of winter. There was like a snowstorm outside. I had to take her to the gym for the first time to drop her off to the caretaking people at the gym. And it was my first workout. Nothing fit me. It was horrible. I was in a horrible headspace, but I was like, no, I committed to this change. Today was supposed to be the first workout, and
you did it.
I did it, and it took me like an hour to get to the gym, and I only lived like a kilometer or two away. And it was a really hard workout, and I that day never left me. And I took a picture. I couldn't take a picture of myself. I wasn't in a good mental space. I wasn't taking pictures of myself yet.
Right.
But I took a picture of the equipment I was on, like the cardio machine I was on, the elliptical, at the end of my time to be like, I need to commemorate this moment of like, I did it, because all of those little obstacles along the way were excuses or reasons in the moment of like why I could have opted out. I could have opted out when it was the snowstorm and I saw outside and it's like buses are slipping and it's like, oh, well, it's a snowstorm. I can, no one would fault me for going tomorrow instead. But I was like, no, I made a promise to myself. I was in the car halfway down there. I was like, I could have turned around. And I was like, no, I made a promise to myself. And it's like when you have this idea that comes into your head and you're like, no, I'm the person that follows through. Yeah. And if you're doing that in every other area of your life, except taking care of yourself, that's the reality check that you need to be like, no, I have to turn this around.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to start acting and showing up to this stuff, not like it's optional, but it's mandatory. So like all the things, if you're like, I wish I could just be one of those fitness people, become that fitness person.
Right. Who
like
says
you said, do you take the action? I actually have an anecdote about a client. She started back up with me. I know she's very dedicated, but she did fall off her fitness routine with a lot of life changes. So she's like, hey, I want to get started again. Reached out to me in the beginning of December. And then I was like, cool, let's go. She's like, let's go. And then anyway, she messaged me a couple weeks into the holidays. She's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm so freaking happy that I didn't wait until after the holidays.
Love that.
And whenever anyone asks me, should I wait? I'm like, no, of course you should not. Like the best time to take action is now. No opportunity wasted. So anyway, then she did her first check-in like I think a day or two after Christmas. And she's like, I'm down 5 pounds. And like,
amazing.
She's like, and let me tell you, it's not that she had to follow her plan to a T.
No.
At all. She's like, I didn't binge. I ate regular meals. She worked out when she was away at her parents' house.
I love this.
And she was like so happy. She's like, imagine if, you know what happens if you wait, you're like, might as well just go really off the rails.
That's right. Well, that's what I was going to say. It almost like, because I had a few women who started just before, like in December, and same thing, but it actually anchored them. It actually gave them more.
You're already in a routine.
100%. So that's the thing. We're not asking for perfection, and it wasn't. We didn't ask these clients to not participate in holiday meals or not do the things. What it did was it just made them more aware and intentional.
I love that. And it's like what you're hearing is like the smallest steps is building the evidence for change and showing you that proof is in, like you're able to do it. You're able to take those actions.
That's right.
And that's how confidence is ultimately built. And that's how you're helping yourself move forward over time.
Right.
So it's not about planning. It's about creating the proof and the evidence that you need to reframe from like, oh, I should have waited to, I'm so glad I didn't wait.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's really hiding under that I'm not ready yet story. Mar, do you want to dig into that with us a little bit?
Yes. And I say this with love, but when someone says that they're not ready yet, you know, they think it's like time and energy and motivation. They come up with all of these things that they're telling themselves. But listen, what is underneath all of that is perfectionism, you fearing failure, and whether you realize it or not, it's you wanting to feel like you're in control. So I think it's important to break these down, because I bet that you've seen these show up in some way in your own life, if you're being honest. So as a recovering perfectionist, I know what this sounds like. I know you girls do. It's the idea, if you can't do something perfectly, then like, what's the point of doing it at all? Truly. And I battle this even still. But with perfectionism, instead of doing something, you know, you wait until you feel you can do everything with no mistakes. But let's get real. When is that? When is that perfect time? When is that perfect execution moment going to come? I've never found it. Have you?
Nope.
It doesn't happen. So perfectionism, it is an illusion. There's never a perfect time.
Yeah. I always tell my clients, like, especially if they're struggling to build momentum, I'm like, you just want to ask yourself, am I moving in that direction?
Yes.
Like, it's like, this is the plan. Ideally, you're 100% on the plan, but like, are we moving there?
That's right.
Are you getting to the workout? And I know we're going to talk about this stuff too, but
yeah,
it's about like, not about perfection. It's moving in the right direction.
It's really shift. And I just feel like the more and more women we speak to, the more we realize just how like pervasive this perfectionism is in so much of what we do, not just like health and fitness. So anyway, perfectionism, that does show up. It rears its ugly head. When we talk about fear of failure, what this kind of shows up like is, when you think if you try and it doesn't work, like you're going to try and nothing's going to work. Again, in this case, if you never start, you can't fail. Sure, I will give you that. But if you don't start, then you'll never change. So if you want change and nothing's changing, then nothing's changing. So that fear of failure, again, is another mechanism that's just holding you back.
Yeah. And I would ask, like, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of failing, or are you actually afraid of succeeding? Because those are two very different scenarios. And if you know the answer to that question, then you can problem solve that. You can set yourself up for a different kind of outcome based on what you're actually afraid of.
Well, and that's the thing. We've talked about this before, where like what you feed grows. So if you're solely looking at what you're going to fail at, all the things that could go wrong, yeah, of course, that's all you're going to see. You're going to look for those things. But how about you shift that? Where's the evidence of what's going to go right? And again, if you look at other things in your life, odds are the things you catastrophize didn't happen at all. So you actually have evidence that shows you what you feared never actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And
right?
what's the worst that's going to happen? That's what I always tell my clients. It's like, oh, I didn't go heavy because I was talking to a client about this at my squat because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I'm like, and if you do, good.
Exactly.
Like with the safety arms in the squat rack.
Yeah, of course.
So you get stuck in the bottom of a squat.
Right.
Okay.
But this is that catastrophizing, right? Like we build this up like the failure is going to be life altering. And most of the time it's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we talk about control, this shows up as, like, I don't want to start something unless I know exactly how this is going to play out. And this is a very human response. And again, my own journey through therapy has helped me understand that like our brain wants certainty and guarantees. So this, from a biological standpoint, your brain is actually trying to keep you safe from risk. We get that. But that's why we were saying the risks are not life and death. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I think a lot of people talk themselves out of making a change because they are nervous and they think that like that's, oh, I'm listening to my gut. But is it that? Maybe, well, but maybe it's also like, is it just the discomfort of change? Because we're wired to want consistency.
That's
the devil we
saying.
know versus devil we don't.
And safety.
Exact safety. So like just the fact that like, you're thinking, ooh, I'm a little bit nervous. That's different from like, this is a red flag.
That's right.
Because nervous is normal.
Exactly. Like your gut, you might be following your gut, but that's the thing. Your gut's trying to keep you safe. But
Exactly.
what we're talking about is not life and death. And Jordan already said this. The only way to prove to yourself that risk isn't there is to take action. Nothing can come before that. So when it comes to perfectionism, fear of failure, and control, they might be protecting your ego, but 1000% they are blocking your progress. So yeah, you stay safe, but you also stay completely stuck. Right? Mm-hmm. Growth only happens in uncertainty. There is no version of growth, at least that I know, where you feel totally ready and confident before you begin. The feeling comes after you've taken action, not before.
Yeah.
And the stuck wins.
Right. And I always come back to this because I credit the two of you, but like this podcast alone, I remember saying, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Why? I was just scared. Like I can say that now. Back then I had every reason and they were valid. They were all the reasons. Like I thought about them, left and right and up and down. But what was it? It was fear. And the worst that happened was like, this sucks and we hate it. But guess what? We love it and you love it. And you know what I mean? Like this has brought us so much joy and it's brought so much value to our listeners. We've met incredible women. It's the best thing that ever happened. And that came completely from fear, uncertainty, all of those things that we just talked about.
But doing it anyway. So props to that.
Right.
And sometimes you need that, quite honestly. Like that's what we do, I think, with our clients as well. And it's telling them like, I know, I get it. It's hard and you're going to do it. Yeah. Like we're holding you accountable to it.
Exactly. And if there's anything that you'll take away from this is that like action has to happen first, even if it is small, imperfect action.
Exactly.
It is always better than that perfect inaction, right? And so, we help women. This is what we do. We help women take that messy first step without overhauling and blowing up their lives. So if you feel like if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, it is perfectionism, it's fear of failure. If you're overthinking, message us. Our contact form is always open. We've been through it ourselves. We've seen it with the women we've worked with, and we are here to help you start before you're ready. So that's what I want everyone to come away with. And I mean, I'm not sure if there's any specific clients. I mean, I feel like almost every client I've talked to has had some amount of like fear before they started.
Of course.
right?
Everybody does. Even if they say it or not, like they all do. Even logically taking the step and knowing it's good, you still have feelings of like,
It's part of every conversation, like every single enrollment conversation.
Yeah.
We talk about this is like, what are you afraid of? Like, what do you think will happen if you take action and you fail? And that's like a great way to kind of talk through what those limiting beliefs are before you've even made the commitment. So we can be like, okay, we've got clarity now. Some of that is not relevant, so let's put that aside. Some of it is relevant, and guess what? We can have a plan for it.
That's right.
And you're now getting support for it.
That's right.
What is the difference maker this time around for you? So
for sure. I love it. So let's get into that. How do people start before they're ready, right? Like, let's talk about what that looks like, what it feels like.
Yeah. So I want to actually share what a lot of people have told me, which is that first of all, if you've ever worked with a coach and been burned, like, just know that it's not all the same experience. And I think people sometimes think this is just how it is. Because I can tell you how many people have told me, like, gosh, I've never worked out before in my life. I literally am thinking of a specific person right now. It was actually a couple. And they were like, and we signed on with this coach. It was all great, but the foods were like completely different from what we normally eat. Or like, it was 5 days a week of like gym workouts, and I've never worked out in my life. And I'm thinking, wow, no wonder you were like extremely, they're like, oh, I always kind of felt sore and tight. And I guess it's a part of it. I'm like, okay, well, this was a cookie cutter plan. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking this was obviously just like, boom, 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 boom. You got a plan, you got a plan. It's like Oprah, like everyone's getting, it's like, So the important thing, how you start before you're ready, is having easy ways of stacking wins.
Yes.
Build momentum. And it's not going to be completely easy, because a lot of my clients, before they start, they're like, I'm overwhelmed and I'm going to start. Like, I just had a conversation with someone who enrolled yesterday. She's really eager, but she's not doing anything right now. So I said, don't worry, we're not going to have you do like a 180 with your eating. But like that can look like, okay, we're going to build structure with your eating now. We're going to, we do that, right? Like, at first, you do often, what we do with our clients, we give them guidance on like, you're going to eat these foods. This is the food you told me you like. Nothing here is what you don't like, but we're going to try. We're going to be intentional. Is that harder than now? Of course, you might be totally skipping your meals until 4 p.m., but we're going to start there. And then maybe like the movement piece is like, we're not going to set a cardio or even a step goal. Maybe we're going to just do like resistance training, and maybe it's just going to be at home with a little bit of equipment.
Yeah.
And so it's meeting you where you're at. And that's what we want you to do for yourself. It's like, what is the next step? What's the first step? Like, so it's like, hey, if you're not moving at all, that's what you're going to start. If you're already moving a ton and you're just getting used to resistance training, keep it very simple. Like, right? Like, you're not going to set a goal of 5 days a week of like 90-minute workouts. Like, you're just going to start by showing up. And if you are in a place where you're having trouble like rebuilding momentum, I tell people, like, just make it your goal is from Atomic Habits. Start the first 10 minutes.
That's right.
So when I tell clients, I'm really struggling in the workout and mentally it's cold, I'm like, hey, how about don't make it the goal to do the workout, make it the goal to start the workout.
Yes.
And then chances are you're 10 minutes in, you're like, I'm warmed up, I'm going to do the first exercise. Well, I did one, I could do two.
And
then you're going to do more than you think. But don't make that the expectation. Would you girls add anything to that so far? Good?
I think,
No, you're bang on.
Yeah, so we want to like detach ourselves from perfection. We don't want to even detach ourselves from the outcome, I would say, and focus on the inputs and not the outputs.
That's right.
So like, don't think so far ahead. Like, we want our big goal in mind as our North Star. Like, hey, you want to be like a complete different person with like a boosted booty and flat stomach, whatever. Great. But like, if you're only thinking about like, oh, I'm so far away from that, it's going to be discouraging. So just think like, I'm just going to get to my gym. Make it easy for yourself. This is one thing that honestly, I'm still applying these tips. I go down to work out in my gym in my Snuggie. Yeah. Like, if like today,
you always post that. I love that.
I know. And I got dressed in normal clothes, but I wanted to train abs today, but I'm not going to change in workout clothes for abs. So, I'll work out in my slippers. I'll whatever, make it like put on a really sick playlist. Just make your environment comfortable and take the next step. That's all you got to do. And also like Jordan, I think you gave such a good example. Like, don't let yourself give yourself any excuses. Like, I think this is another thing I ranted about, where it's like, we all do want these hacks to make life simple. That's great. But like, at the end of the day, when you make a promise to yourself, keep it no matter what. Anything that comes up for you, just don't let it until it's just second nature. It's like, of course, then you get to a place where you're like, I would actually never abandon my training or my eating to a degree, right? Like, I know when I was moving in this house, at any time I moved, it's crazy, right? You're really like, your whole life is packed up. So I remember we just left our kettlebells out intentionally, and we did like, I think 3 or 4 20-minute kettlebell workouts a week.
Right.
And that just kept us going. And it wasn't the most dynamite thing, but at least it was something.
That's right.
Yeah. And it kind of comes back to like your bare ass minimums that we've talked about before, where it's, you have that minimum standard that you've set for yourself, and it doesn't always have to look perfect, but you don't let it go below that minimum that you've set, that's what's creating the consistency over time. Because if you can get through it when life is at its busiest, most stressful, most difficult, then that isn't forever.
That's
so
right.
when the time comes around when that stressor is no longer in your life, or you're done moving, or, you know, summer is over or winter is done, or whatever the thing is, that's a different season where you're like, oh, well, I've already been doing this when it's so hard, and now it is actually a little bit easier. This is going to be great. Like, think of that. Definitely. Of like, if you can do it when it's hard, you can do it anytime.
Yeah.
And I love that too, because like the BAMs that we talk about, it's surrounding yourself with the right people as well. So like people who have those standards, because it's easy to like, just be careful who you take advice from, because I always say this, like, you know, your mom or your bestie, if they're not on their own, they're on their own journey. They're not on a fitness journey. They might be kind of feeding you information that is not valuable to the outcome you want.
That's
so
right.
It's like, hey, I don't think you should do this. You're busy. Or it just reminds me of the old school ladies that are like, I was talking to a client, she wants to get pregnant. So anyway, it's like the old school ladies saying, oh, you shouldn't work out if you're pregnant.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's bad for the baby. But it's like, okay, careful who you're taking advice from, right? They might tell you that, you know, wait till life slows down. But at the end of the day, like, you need people who are going to align with who you want to be, not like you're stuck where you're at.
Good.
Love that.
Awesome. So, Jord, do you want to take us home with some takeaways?
Sure. Sounds good. So like, I think if you're listening to this and you're done waiting, like this is your permission slip. Like, we've given you many along the way, but if you still haven't taken that action, like, now is the time to start before you're ready. And if you're like listening right now and I don't want to wait another 6 months to start, you don't have to figure out it alone. No. We've helped so many women take that first imperfect step and build the momentum from there. And if you want that support, you know, we're here. Reach out to us. The contact form is in the show notes. You can chat us up on Instagram. We've got your back, and you've got everybody else's back. Let us have your back for once and help you get started. So the recap here that we want you to take away is there is no perfect time, just opportunities disguised as being too busy. That is a story you've been telling yourself for far too long, and we want to step away from that.
Yes, we do.
That readiness comes from doing, not thinking. So taking action, even if it's messy, even if it's the smallest of steps, it's giving you the proof you need to build the confidence that you can do it and that you are in fact doing it. And that's how you're ultimately going to get where you want to go. So do you guys have like a little anecdote or a little personal story around not being ready but doing it anyways?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I've done this honestly a lot. Like, I will say that about myself, because I just have faith that I know that, like, this stuff, when I hear it, I'm like, it is true. I remember, like, the first time I signed up for business coaching was the first time I spent, like, a lot of money. I think it was like $7,500 or something. And I definitely didn't have that, like, in one place ready to go.
Right.
So I was like, but it was something like, oh, if you do it within 24 hours, it's this amount. And I'm like, let's fucking do it within 24 hours. Excuse me. But I'm like, hey, and I just was like, this, wherever I pulled it from. And then, I mean, if I didn't start doing that, I never would have built the confidence to like accelerate my business. So
100%.
Same thing, like competing. It's like having kids. I think that was probably the biggest one, actually. My first one was a surprise, but it was good in a way because I didn't feel ready. But it was also
You did it anyway.
You did it anyway. And then I was like, look, I don't think anybody knows what they're doing. No one comes with a manual. Like,
no.
I know how to be a parent. Do any of us really know? So yeah, those are my examples.
Yeah, that's good.
I love that. How about you, Mare?
For me, definitely when I made the decision to leave teaching and move into coaching full time, I mean, I am the queen of telling myself I'm not ready, right? So I kept saying like, oh, it's not the right time. I need more certifications. I need more preparation, all of this stuff. And I really was waiting for that like magical moment where, you know, everything would be like, you should do this now.
Yes.
And I realized like I didn't need more certifications. What I needed was to like just get started. And I'll tell you, I learned more coaching my first few clients than I ever could have by just being stuck preparing. So I think it comes back to like what we said, like my clarity came from taking action. I started when I was uncomfortable, but then the proof built from there, right? I had these amazing experiences. I was helping women in the best way. They were being successful. And I was like, boom, there we go. There's the proof that I need. So that was my big one.
Bam.
I love that. My example is very similar to yours, Mare. And in terms of leaving the corporate world, I was waiting. And it was almost 5 years. And finally it was like, no, I'm not going to wait anymore. Gotta shoot my shot. No,
Look,
like
what am I
it's
waiting
now
for?
or never. What am
Time is passing.
Yeah,
right?
Time is passing. So might as well pass it, taking a bet on myself and taking that risk and saying, I'm so happy I did rather than I wish I had.
Yeah. I was
Starting
say,
Get Sculpted, I was going to say. I feel like that was another one.
That was a huge one for all three of us. That was massive. There was so much fear there.
I will say, I think maybe it was because it was the three of us and we fed on each other's like desire and excitement. But I feel like we really collapsed the time from when we were like, we should do this in a year or something to like, no,
we're doing it now.
Why are we waiting?
Yeah. We didn't wait. Once we decided, we went for it.
And I don't remember that saying exactly, so I don't want to butcher it either. But it's that whole idea of like, what would you rather live with? Like the fear of doing it or the fear of regret?
Exactly.
And I am at the point in my life where like it's 110 million%. I never want to live with regret. I would rather try and fail than never try at all.
Exactly.
There's no way to fail if you keep trying.
That's right.
That's it.
That's
so
right.
we want you to know, and like whatever, as a girly with anxiety, like my brain will think of worst case scenarios, but those are just thoughts. And
that's right. Your thoughts are not always true.
Yeah, your thoughts are not always true. So just take action.
Yeah, I love that. And so we are going to leave it there. If you have been inspired by this episode, which we hope you have, please let us know, because we love to know your comments on Spotify. Leave a comment on YouTube if you're watching this. Send us the episode, tag us on Instagram, whatever you want to do to let us know that you've heard this episode, that you have received the message, and you are going to level up this year and take the risks that you want, whether it's in your fitness journey, in your relationships, in your work environment, wherever it is, taking that risk to step into your best self and living the life that you ultimately want to live. We love that for you. So thank you again for another episode of Get Sculpted podcast. We are going to have an amazing episode next week. Mary, it's your solo episode around stopping to self-sabotage yourself and healing from within on your fitness journey. I think it's going to be super powerful.
Awesome.
Awesome,
guys.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you in the next one.
Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.